Hello everyone, I'm just doing a video on aquarium plants. In front of me here is a whole bunch of water wisteria, Hygrophila difformis. It's called Hygrophila difformis. Difformis is a key to figuring out its growth pattern. The leaf structure will change under different lighting. See if I can get it at the right angle. You'll see under highlight, I've got this under LEDs, which is quite bright, so they have more of a fishbone structure. If you have lower light, they'll be more like up here, which is, I suppose, more like an oak leaf, nice and thick. Growing them is really easy once they're established. I find a lot of the times when you buy them from the pet store and you chuck them in the aquarium, they melt really badly, but this is usually because they're growing immersed and not submerged. So if you can get some to grow submerged, you're laughing. This stuff is 6 months old, and as you can see the water level there, I trimmed that last week to the nodes that you can see just where the two leaves are coming out. I didn't trim these ones because they hadn't grown to that height yet, but in the last week they've reached that height, and that's the best thing to do to propagate it. I had six little stems, and then as you can see I've created an almost forest from the trimmings. All you got to do, pinch out the stem, stick it deep into the substrate. This substrate's actually quite thick. It's soil with sand over the top, and the plants love it. So all you gotta do, pinch off the stem, stick it into the substrate. As you can see at the back there, they also send out roots into the water column, because most stem plants you'll find are water column feeders. So even in the dirted aquarium, they do feed off the substrate, but they draw a lot of nutrients out of the water column itself. They also grow from leaf cuttings. I don't have any floating in the aquarium at the moment because I've pulled them all out and planted them. But if you pull off the leaf just close to the stem, like that one, if you just pull it straight down and then stick it into the substrate, that'll root as well. That's actually how I got this little one to grow. It takes a lot longer for them to grow when you do it that way, but that's another way you can propagate them. They're very easy to look after, low light, high light, and they don't care. You can have them pretty much any way you want. The only problem I found with them is before they root, getting them to stay in the substrate. They seem to have a lovely habit of just floating off into the water column until they've rooted. The other plant I've got in here is, I think it's Ambulia. It might be water hawthorn, I'm not sure. But this stuff as well grows crazy. It's a noxious weed in some plants of Australia, or most parts of Australia, sorry. English me speak good not. I started off with this one batch here, and as it grew to the surface of the water, as it's done already, I pinch off the stems and then stick them into the substrate in groups of 2 or 3, and in a month I've planted out half the tank. So it's great if you want to breed live bearers, because all the fry can hide in amongst the foliage. But if you're trying to have a tank with other plants, this one is definitely one you would think twice about doing, because it will grow over the entire length of the water surface, and it will root in the water column, and if it gets to anywhere else in the aquarium, it will just root and grow there as well. I think it can do a lovely trick that some plants do, where it sends out a signal to any other plants, and it actually kills them. So just be careful where you plant it. You don't want to have it planted next to some really delicate plants. This Amazon sword is just going crazy. It's been in there for a little while. I'll probably have to move it because of the Ambulia, actually, because it's all growing. See, there's one stem. I didn't actually plant that. It was a big runner that got pushed down by the current of the filter back there, and it's rooted there. So I've got another plant growing at the back there. On the rocks here is this Anubias nanovetite. They're best grown on an ornament because when you bury the rhizome beneath the substrate, it can cause it to rot. But if you want to propagate it, see how this has grown little roots off the rhizome. You can just split the rhizome and you'd have another 3 plants there easy. I always find with Anubias, don't worry about fertilizing it. It's really not going to make it grow that faster. I never put any CO2 into the aquarium just because I have the air going into the aquarium, and that already puts CO2 from the outside into the water, because what the gas exchange does is it wants to equalize itself. So if you're putting in a whole bunch of CO2, it's going to generally diffuse and come out the top of the aquarium. So if you've just got an air pump pumping air into there and circulating around, you're going to get CO2 coming in from outside. So I never really worry about CO2 from my aquariums. You might have stuff like dwarf baby tears that may actually require some CO2 because they're great at just absorbing it. Here is some Java moss that's just been floating in the water column. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, so I'll just let it spread out. It's good for fry to hide in, at least. So this is just the plants in my molly tank. I'll do one on my crypticorns, Java fern and Hygrophila polysperma next, as well as the dwarf hairgrass I've got inside. Thank you.